as he takes his blazer off now because he's getting hot. Number four. Who's ready for number four? Put your arm up. There you go. Thank you so much. Audience participation. All right, number four is, the great big what if. The great big what if. Here's an example. How are we doing for time, by the way? What's the time? 11:28, great, I've still got time. So the great big what if goes a bit like this. They come in and, real client, change their name to protect their identity, like they're in the witness protection program. They come in and they are scared of aeroplanes. They're scared of heights, scared of aeroplanes more specifically. And they're coming to see me because in 2 weeks they're going to Mexico to get married. Great, so they come into the office and we're just about to work and they say to me, Luke, question, we're doing this work here today, we're just about to do this work right now, but how am I going to know that it worked until I was on the aeroplane? I'm not going to know if this worked if I changed. I've got a great way of bringing that up and great way of them knowing before they leave the office it either worked or it didn't. And they're like, look, because I'm not going to be on the plane so there's no way to test it. I'm saying that's an interesting thing, so you don't know about if this is going to work until you're actually on the aeroplane 2 weeks when I'm not going to be there and our work is finished. They're like, yeah. So I'm like, you actually think the problem is the plane, right? They're like, yeah, well, of course it's the plane. I'm terrified of flying. It's the plane's fault. I'm like, interesting. I wonder if I could just do a little experiment, frame it softly. You up for a little experiment? They're like, yeah, all right. Close your eyes. And I want you to imagine it's 2 weeks from now and you're on that aeroplane, and then suddenly the emotion comes up and I see that color change and that emotional shift. I'm like, where's the anxiety now that they couldn't find before? Because why would I feel anxious now? I'm not on the aeroplane. It's a 9. I already know it's a 9 because I've seen the shift in color. I've seen the body stiffen up. And I'll say, well, that's how you know. Because when we're done today, when you revisit that past memory or future memory, that 9, you'll still be able to see it, however you see it in your mind in a way that makes sense to you, but you won't be able to feel it. So you'll know that this shit worked. They're like, great. So do the modality, the hypnosis, the HUNA, the healing, timeline therapy, whatever the technique is. An hour later, we go back to test it. So imagine it's 2 weeks from now, you're on the aeroplane. Where's the fear gone now? Where's the anxiety gone now? And I'm not just listening to their words, I'm watching them. I'm watching their physiology because I took a mental picture when they first came in, when they're in a fear state. And now I'm comparing it to the end. So yeah, I'm listening to them, but I'm comparing the two pictures. Fear state when they came in, and now there should be none. There should be an absence of it, right? So I'm looking for major markers. And they're like, oh, yeah, Luke, it's still not my most favorite thing in the world, flying on an aeroplane, but, you know, I guess I'm going to be up there for 4 hours and, you know, I read a magazine. I'm like, what about the anxiety? No, I just feel neutral. Just feel neutral about it. Like, really try. And I'm like, I'm not doing this as a trick. I know as hypnotists, like, oh, try and do this and try and do that when we don't want. I'm like, no, generally, I really want you to look for the anxiety in that future memory. And if you can find any, we've got more work to do, but if there's truly none left, you won't be able to find it. And I give them some time. I step back, I let them try and scan it and find it. And I'm not talking, I just give them a moment. And they're like, no, can't find it. I'm like, no, really give it a good look so you're really satisfied that this is done. Because remember, I'm not going to be there 2 weeks from now. This is the time that if there's any left, we need to get rid of it now. Like really give it a good strong test to see if it's there. And no, I don't find it. I'm like, awesome. They smile, they're happy. I've compared the two pictures in my mind. Yeah, this one's completely different from this one. Great. They're confirming it to me, but they're not really confirming it to me. That's not for my ego, it's for them. Because when the words come out of their own mouth, they're confirming it to them. But here's where the great big what if come. This is number 4, the great big what if. Anyone remember the TV show Columbo, Detective Columbo? Yeah? Do you remember Columbo? It's an old detective show, Peter Falk. And he was known because he would seem a little bit of a dummy. A lot of the criminals would think he was an idiot. But he was really cunning, he was really sneaky, he was a lot smarter. So people misjudged him and his intelligence as a detective. They'd figured that they'd pulled a fast one and a murder and they'd got off, right? And every episode it would have this scene. They think they got away with their crime of the century. And it's come into about the last 10, 15 minutes of the episode. And he would step forward, he'd be ready to walk out of the room. And he would turn over his shoulder and he'd say, oh, just one more thing. Just one more thing, Luke. When I am actually on the aeroplane next week, what about the fear? What if? What if I hit turbulence? What if the fear comes back? What if this doesn't work? Now, the what ifs come at the end of the session, so no matter how good or thorough our work was here, that what if has the potential to unravel everything we have just done, and they're going to be completely unsatisfied. By the way, the what if is a different problem. It's anxiety. So if they were coming in with a different problem, the what if is always linked strongly to anxiety. So I'm like, hold on. You still think the problem is about the aeroplane? Do you remember at the beginning when I said to you, it has nothing to do with the aeroplane, because you can have fear 2 weeks before you go on the aeroplane when you're at home lying on your bed because you can't go to sleep, and you can bring up the fear. Where's the aeroplane then? And they look at me like this. Oh, I don't know. No, where's the aeroplane? It's in my head. Yeah, it's in your head. It has nothing to do with the aeroplane at all. It's your internal representations or how you're seeing it, feeling it, experiencing it in your body. They're like, okay, so I'm like, so let me get this right. Yeah, but Luke, what if it comes back? To which I say, so let me get this right. It's a 0 right now, isn't it? Give it another test. So I'll hit the test again. Think of the most traumatic memory or future memory that you can have. Bring it up. Where's the feeling? Well, I can't feel it. So I've retested again. I'm like, so let me get this right. 2 weeks from now, you're going to get on that aeroplane to Mexico and you're going to fly off. Are you going to have a different head than you have right now? They're like, look at me, puzzled. Are you going to have a different brain than you have right now? They're like, well, no, I guess it's the same head and it's the same brain. So what's going to be different from what the change that you just made now and bringing it into next week? It's the same person, the same brain. They're like, oh yeah, because they still think it's about the aeroplane and not how they're processing it. So you have to be very careful with clients when it comes to what if. And oftentimes what ifs can be really disguised in such a way that you really think, oh, that's a really good question they're asking. I'm going to answer that. That's a really good question. However, it's a what if question. And every what if question is going to unravel your work unless you deal with it there and then, no matter how good you are. So no matter what my client's presenting problem is, I always do a little bit of anxiety work or future pacing, because I want to nuke, I want to get rid of, I want to delete the what if. So when they're there, every kind of scenario they could have gone through, they've experienced it. They know, oh yeah, I'm the same guy, just still 2 weeks old, the same head, same brain, aeroplane, I'm not scared of aeroplane. And I'll say something to them like, if aeroplane was the problem, then every single human being on earth would be scared of flying. And I don't know what the specific statistic is, but let's say it's, 10% of people on earth are scared of flying. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit less or more. There's still a huge amount of people that either enjoy flying or are completely neutral to it. It's never the aeroplane, it's always our filtering systems. So be careful of the what if. Oh, look, I'm doing really well now, but what happens in a couple of weeks when I go to this? I'm doing good. There's another issue. I'm releasing weight. It's going really, really well. I'm down 15 pounds. It's going great. I feel all this empowerment. But you know what? I've got this wedding coming up. And what happens at the wedding if I eat too much? Got to deal with it. You've got to deal with that right then and there, because if you don't deal with it, they're going to come in next time, and they're going to come from this place of eating too much cake at the wedding, rather than, oh yeah, I'm taking the change with me. Another little sneaky thing I do with my clients is, and it's a bit easier now on Zoom, because we're in people's homes or wherever they're doing a Zoom with me at work. Oftentimes when I'd work with clients, the change would get generalized to my office, my physical office, but I'd forget to tell them to bring the change or the transformation out with them. I know it sounds like a little thing. So what would happen is oftentimes the client who called me up for the screening called the heroin addict or the smoker is not the same client that comes to my office. Now they look the same, they have the same fingerprint, they have the same eye color, they have the same SIN number, the same passport, but it's very different because they called me up in a state of, oh, I've got to get rid of this, or they're jonesing for their drug. And they're in their home or typically environment where they might engage in that particular behavior activity. But when they came to my office, they had no intention of shooting up heroin, or crystal meth, or smoking, or eating 10,000 calories, or jumping out of an aeroplane. All right? So when they show up, they're generally passive a lot of the times. And I have a big belief that the only way we can start to collapse that Jenga block or that structure is we need to be in the problem with them at the bottom, almost like The Navy SEALs, right? The Navy SEALs underwater demolition. If the client is not in the problem, but they're watching it, or as we say, dissociated instead of associated, it's a bit like you go to a fairground and you watch somebody on a roller coaster versus being on the roller coaster. Now, if they're coming from a place of being dissociated, to get neurological on you, it's that neurological pathway in their brain isn't lit up. So if they're talking about it passively, oh yeah, you know, when you do this and you do that, it's another way to dissociate. Not when I'm on the aeroplane, or when I'm having the problem or the panic attack. You know, when you have that panic attack, you know, when you're on the aeroplane, that's another way they do the maybe or the what if. So whenever you hear a you know, it seems like such a small thing, right? You have to be like, well, no, I don't have that problem. We're talking about you. So please, going forward, please, when you're talking about your problem, say I, say me, whatever your name is, say Luke. And later on, they'll slip up again. You know, Luke, when you have that problem when you're doing heroin, well, no, I've never done heroin, so I'd have no idea. Why are you talking about me? Do you know my history? No. So please talk about you, because they keep dissociating from the problem. And that sounds powerful at some points, but they're dissociating at the wrong time. When they want to quit doing the heroin, the panic attack, they're in it. That's when they don't want to be it. That's when they want to dissociate. But when they come to the office, they're dissociated. So it means everything's passive. So we need to get them into the problem state, light up that neurology so we're in the building, and we pull out that jungle block so we can knock that whole thing down, or like the Navy SEALs, explode it. Does that make sense for people? Yeah? Get inside the problem, get them associated into the problem, the great big what if. So be very, very careful on answering questions, and they will often come at the end of the session. What if, what if, what if? Before they leave your office, you got to deal with that. You've got to deal with the what if, and there's a few ways that you can deal with it.